Hey you. So about 2 years ago, I was out here and I made a video about repotting some plants. And I said I would do an update, but I never did. So this is kind of that video. But when I was brainstorming what I was going to do, there was no story. There was nothing other than just here's the plants in their new pots. Here I hung them up. So I've been sitting on it. I've been trying to brainstorm what to make of this video. But I figured it out, and it was hidden in plain sight.
It's not dirt, but it's not bad.
So to catch you up to speed, I never really wanted or cared about houseplants when I was a kid. They were just sort of there. We had a cactus, we had some other stuff. I think we had a snake plant or two, but I really didn't care about them until I lived with my girlfriend at the time. We lived in a basement suite and there's no light. There was nothing, and it was so depressing visually to be in a space like that with no greenery. We didn't really have anything up on the walls like artwork or anything like that. And it was so bleak, so we finally got a snake plant. We got a snake plant and we got oh shit. And a peace lily. We bought a peace lily and a snake plant, and when we split up, I got to keep the peace lily. So when I moved, I had this big window all of a sudden. The possibilities for plants just opened up. I asked my friend Julia, who had lots of plants, if there were any things she would recommend, and she just gave me cuttings. She just gave me different cuttings of different plants, of golden pothos, spider plants, philodendrons, a prayer plant, all that good stuff. I've since moved a couple of them into some new pots, some new hangers. But how the hell do worms tie into all of this? So, about 2 or 3 years ago, for Christmas, my brother Josh got me these worms here. And let me just... It's like super surreal. And so he handed me this bag, this folded up thing of tissue that said real worms. And inside were these. Why? Like what do I do with these? So the following Christmas, I'm visiting my friend Chelsea, one of my dearest friends. We've kept in touch pretty much ever since high school. And more recently, one of the ways we've kept in touch was via voicemails. And it serves this wonderful, it scratches that itch of wanting to hear someone's voice, but not really wanting to commit to a phone call. And she gives me a bag, a little tissue wrapped thing, of more worms. I've been intentionally keeping something from you, something that is very important to the structure of this story. A year before she gave me the worms, in the springtime, Chelsea came back.
So, I think it was the first time we were hanging out after I got home from Australia.
And she came over.
And we were at that point in the hangout where you were giving me a tour of the strange items that you've accumulated, which I thoroughly enjoy because you have a lot of odd items that nobody else has, like your pencil sharpener. I don't know why you have it. I don't care. I like it.
And I had the worms in this glass container.
So eventually on this tour, we got to this handful of ceramic worms.
I remembered them and I was like, hey, I should show these to Chelsea because they sound funny and I think she'll get a kick out of them.
And I was so enchanted by them. They're very charming and very silly. I really like items that don't have a practical use. I find a lot of joy in that. I like the tinkly sound they made when you hold them and you just gently kind of wiggle them around. When I was handing them back to you, I dropped one of them and his little head or tail chipped off. And you weren't bothered by it at all. It made me sad though, because I really liked those worms. I had grown very attached to them very quickly for no reason.
And little did I know that she had this whole other story of her own, falling in love with worms and making these worms.
I didn't think too much of it other than holding kind of in the back of my mind that I'd like to fix it or make you a new one if I could figure out how. Which brings us to catalyst number 2, which is the trip to Tofino, which was in November. And I had brought a bunch of craft supplies on that trip, including a bunch of polymer clay. And there was one really rainy day that we were there. We were warming up back inside in the afternoon, and I brought out the clay because that's a fun activity. And that, I think, is where the true obsession with the worms began. I was like mixing up colors. I wanted to make you a worm. I made one squiggly little guy as like a warm-up to like try to make more other different things. And it was just so fun. And I couldn't help but make more worms instead of make other things. They're just long noodles. You can twist them up in any fun shape you like. You can do them in whatever color. And they're so playful and silly in their simplicity. And I couldn't stop. So I made a couple for you. And then I thought like, wow, these are so fun. These would make great earrings. So I made some that I could just loop through like the hoops that I always wear as like little dangly things. And they rocked. They looked so good. And I love them so much. But I made them too big. So I made some more pairs. I made smaller ones, and then I made bigger ones, and then longer ones, and then stumpier ones, and then different twisty shapes. And then I thought, like, I want some to decorate my houseplant pots too. And then, like, I really don't know how many I ended up making. I was obsessed. Right now I have 3 pairs for my earrings of different sizes and a necklace. I made some for a few friends. My sister has a pair. I made earrings for one roommate, a bolo tie for her girlfriend, and then a brooch for my other roommate, which she has worn to work. And she is a registered clinical counselor, and I think that that's funny. I don't know, it's fun to wear a worm. It's like weird, it's different. But then anyways, a few months later, a tattoo apprentice that I follow on Instagram posted a flash page of just a bunch of squiggly worms, and they were so affordable and so cute. So now I have a worm tattooed on me. So yeah, so thanks to you for showing me those worms, which I then broke one of, inspiring me to replace it, I now have an abundance of worm jewelry and a worm tattoo. And that is a really funny chain of events. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole story.
So I eventually found the story I was looking for, but it's not my story, and it never was to begin with. So thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Josh. And if there's anyone I forgot, I'm sorry. I also love you. And yeah, I can't wait to make the next video because I was really stuck on this for a while. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking around. And I will see you soon, I hope. Yeah. Okay. Bye. I broke one of them. I'm sorry, Josh. I'll find the rest of the pieces and glue it back together.